areas, I want to repeat, to maintain means jobs,
right.
as an environmental area, that's all what Florida is about. That's what brings tourists to our state. So that means jobs, that means business. Florida
exactly
needs to, I repeat, needs to keep those dedicated funds and strictly implement those funds in the buying of land, in the buying and conservation of land.
Yes.
Not
and
just
so
for
often,
the jobs, not
right.
just for the jobs or for the business, but all of that.
And it's a battle because these funds are being diverted. Just like I believe it's pronounced the Sadowski Trust that's used for housing, is supposed to go for housing.
Yeah.
Every year, practically, those funds are raided. And you wonder why we don't have affordable or attainable housing here in Florida, one of the things dear to my heart. And part of the reason I came to Florida was over here to help with bringing attainable and affordable housing to our client base, a part of which we moved to Florida. And, oh, boy, I could go for hours and tell about that. But, people wonder why we don't have attainable housing, because they regularly take the funds and divert them for other purposes,
Yep.
And again, it's a matter of the people being educated and the voters understanding this. And when we have so much of the population of Florida that, like right now, who are unemployed because of the COVID collapse, who are risk losing their housing or being evicted from their apartments, that's not a joke. That's something that's serious, and the state needs to take action. Another one I wanted to touch on was, too, before I forget this, the ungodly state unemployment system here and the horrors that people went through here.
My Lord, yes.
Exactly. These people, we look at the stock market performing in record proportions, and people say, oh, isn't that wonderful? Yes, it is. But what about the people that are left behind? Not everybody's in the stock market. A lot of the people can't afford to be. A lot of people can't even afford to have a roof over their head. And for God's sakes, these same people, don't they have a conscience? It makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. I looked at what could I know that we could overhaul. I know it's too little too late. They just terminated the head of the unemployment division. I can't remember what that's called right now, but and put a new person in. But they should have been looking at this years ago. If the system was designed to fail in the first place. And this goes right back to the Republican administrations that were in power then, and not caring about the people of Florida. So all those people who couldn't get their unemployment checks, couldn't even get their federal unemployment checks. I know people that still not got their federal payments yet. They were entitled to them. Got one check or two checks and then didn't get anything. Tried to call in and was given a bunch of gobbledygook answers when they would ever hear back. When they'd ever get through, they put on hold for 50 minutes, hours at a time. It was disgusting,
Yeah.
Oh.
And what's funny is that traces back to Rick Scott. And not just Rick Scott, but also Ron DeSantis for his complacency with the system. See,
exactly.
One thing that this pandemic has pointed out is a lot of the government shortcomings in Florida. This has just exacerbated them. And I want to touch on it specifically, the unemployment thing, because my father was also someone who lost his job, as well as had to go on unemployment, but couldn't even get through.
Right.
So he never even got one check. It's disgusting. Especially
it is, and
because... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, some of the people that we work with in the Housing Coalition, the only way we got responses for a few people was we had to go through a TV station up in Tampa. We sent them their names. That's the only way we could get through, get a response. And then they got cut off. They sent them one check. I hope they thought that they had shut them up, but no, that they're missing their months of checks and never got paid. And I can understand the frustration with people. For God's sakes, we deal with it every day. When we were working with these poor people, and it's uncalled for. This is unjustified. It's a criminal to treat people like this. It really is.
Agreed. And what's funny too is that they're not just abandoning people on the left. COVID doesn't care about anyone. Whether you're right, left, center, blue, red, green, yellow, purple, doesn't matter. This hit everyone across the board, and they did not give a single care for anyone.
That's exactly right. And the people the people who could least afford it, of course, as usual, were the ones that were hurt the worst. You know,
Yep.
God forbid that any of our multimillionaires here in Florida, and Lord love them because they bring money to the economy, but God forbid that any of them would be inconvenienced in anything. And as long as they could keep their yachts going, you know. Anthony, you may know about this. I'm going to sidetrack here for just a second, but just to show you Florida and how tone deaf people are. People here, thousands, tens of thousands of people here and across the country, not only here too, but worried about their housing. And guess what happened in Sarasota this past weekend? What a beautiful demonstration for loyalty to the president and Trump. A flotilla of yachts and boats and marchers on the causeway marched in freedom to denounce the Democrats and tell people that where we were at, and it was amazing, you know, and it really was, you know, that we had to do this, but here it was, the pictures that showed the whole story. The party was showing them demonstrating and everything, and their flotillas of yachts and boats and everything. Oh, isn't it great that people can afford those? And but the poor people that are suffering, you know, that shows you right there. The people and the totally tone deaf about the people who are suffering in this state. Isn't it great that they can be out there on their yachts and they can take a busy day off from partying and whatever they're doing to walk across the bridge, you know?
Exactly.
God help us. God help us, you know.
Exactly. It's honestly disgusting. It really disgusts me. I can't fathom it. I really can't.
Tony,
I can't fathom supporting someone who has time and time again literally taken you for granted, forgotten you, and purposely ignored you.
Right. And we're running out of time here. I think we've got a couple of minutes left, or maybe several here. I'm not trying to think about the time where we're at. We have several minutes here, but I want you to make some closing statement here quickly, so that for the next 2 or 3 minutes, just summarize your thoughts a little bit before we close out. And I appreciate the opportunity to have interviewed you here, but go ahead and think through what you want to say in the closing statement that our listeners can understand why it's important to vote for you and support you in this endeavor for Florida Senate District 21.
Got it. Okay, so hello everyone once again. My name is Tony, and I'm running for Florida Senate District 21. It's important, 1, to vote, and 2, to vote for me. Let me tell you why. Because anything that I do in Tallahassee will affect you. Everything. If you live in Florida, it will affect you. I want to protect our environment. I want to expand our health care. I want to protect our kids, especially if you have kids. I urge you to vote for me. I am a teacher. I know what your kids are like. I know what you must be going through if you're home teaching your kids right now. I completely get it, and I want to help you. But I can only do that if you put me in the place of power to do so. And when I say this, I say that this is an us campaign. This is not a me campaign. This is not for me. I'm not running for my health. I'm running for everyone, because we have so much that we can do that we don't do that we should do. My name is Tony.
Exactly
I'm running
right.
for Florida Senate District 21. Please go to my website, tonyforflorida.com. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter. Tony for Florida is the username, and yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you for listening, and thank you, Tony, for being here with us today. You've been an incredible speaker and an inspiration, and you're an inspiration, and we got to see everything we can to get you elected up here. Okay?
Of course.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, thank you for listening, and we hope you've enjoyed today's discussion. This has been Coastal Progressive and Rainbow Forum on Society Bites Radio, and I have been your host, Steve Ryan. Thank you so much.